By now, I hope you know that every single hand in blackjack has a correct mathematical decision that you need to make. For example, a 5 versus a 3 is going to be a hit. Now we're going to stand on the 15. We're also going to stand on that 15, and this is going to be a double down. However, in today's video, what I'm going to teach you is that there is also an order of operations that you need to follow for every single hand that you play at the blackjack table. Today what I've done is I've set up some scenarios that I think we can go over that's going to be helpful for you as you're sitting down playing some of those really tough decisions or those tough hands at the blackjack table. Right? Now the order of operation that I am talking about is this. Okay? First off, if possible, you should take insurance. I'll explain more once we get there. Number 2 is you should also surrender if that's available and if that's the correct decision to make. After that, you should split if possible when it's okay to do so, and then double down and then hit or stand on the same line because depending on the hand, that's what you would do last. All right. So let's see if we can go over some situations and decide should we do one thing or another and work down our checklist, if you will, to see what is the correct decision to make at the blackjack tables. We'll put this off to the side just for reference, but let's start here with maybe 3 hands and see some maybe tough decisions that we need to make. All right. First off, what if we have some hands like this? You'll notice that the first thing on our list is to take insurance. You usually are only able to take insurance, I think only able to take insurance, when the dealer is showing an ace. All right, so normally the dealer will turn their card sideways. They'll ask for, I should put these back a little bit because they'll ask for insurance, and you're able to place up to half of your bet on that line right there, and you'll see that it pays 2 to 1. Insurance pays 2 to 1. Now, when is it beneficial to take that? And the answer is that it's beneficial to take insurance when the true count is +3 or higher. All right, in double deck, it's a little bit lower, but just as a general rule of thumb, if you are counting and your running count divided by the number of decks left to be played is going to give you a number that's a 3 or higher, then you will want to take insurance. No matter what kind of hand you have, whether it's just a measly little pair of 3s, a good hand like a 20, or one that you might be thinking about doubling down, it's an 11, any of those, you would want to take insurance whether the count is +3 or higher. Why? All right, the reason that you would want to do that is because it's not about your hand at all. Okay, insurance is a side bet that is betting on the dealer to have blackjack. Okay, now if they do, does it matter what you have? No, it doesn't. Okay, so that way, if they have blackjack, you won't even get to play out your hand. Okay, so if it's a +3 or higher, then it is mathematically likely that the dealer is going to have blackjack, and it's the best side bet to bet in blackjack. You've maybe seen some of those other kind of carnival variants of blackjack where there's side bets along with them. Don't ever play those, okay? Usually that's not worth it. There's a couple that you can maybe figure out the edge to, but insurance is one that you will want to play if it's a +3 or higher. So in this case, is there blackjack? Yes, there is. All right, that is the first thing on our list. The next one is surrender. Let's look at a couple more examples here. All right, deal out another 3 spots. And all of these hands right here are going to be examples where you would want to surrender. Okay, and on our basic strategy chart, you would surrender a 16 versus a 9, 10, or ace for the dealer, and a hard 15 versus a dealer's 10. Okay, so we have a couple of those situations, some 16s as well as a 15 versus a dealer's 10. Those would all be situations where you would want to surrender. Okay, now sometimes that's not possible. Then you have to go down the list after that and play out the hands like you would normally with the rest of basic strategy, making your hits and stands and so on appropriately. For example, let me take these 2 off the table here. This is an example that I had on my Instagram channel a while back, and it kind of got some heated arguments down in the comments, which go check that out if you want to. But anyway, a pair of 8s versus a dealer's 10, I think is what I had on there. And I asked, should we hit? Should we stand? Should we probably not double down, but should we split this? And the results were kind of all over the place, and everyone was absolutely sure that they were correct. Okay, a pair of 8s versus a dealer's 10 is going to be a surrender for any non-negative running counts. So as you're counting, that means that anything 0 or positive, you would want to surrender, right? Just draw that line and surrender your hand. And that way you're going to be less likely, or you're going to be more likely to lose less money in the long run. Okay. Now, conversely, what if we had a pair of 8s versus a dealer's ace? This is going to be a surrender always. Okay, you're going to treat this like a hard 16, and a hard 16 versus an ace is going to be a surrender. All right, so that's kind of a surrender decision there. Let's go more down our list again. I have another 3 hands for us. Okay, this one's obviously going to be when you have some pairs. And pairs, that's when we can maybe decide to split. Okay, when you have two cards that are of equal value, you are able to split your hands. And it's okay to do so only when basic strategy tells you to. Okay, so for example, let's look at what we have here. This first one is going to be a pair of 5s. A pair of 5s versus a dealer's 7, is that going to be a split? Well, no, it's not. If you remember your basic strategy chart, you should never split 5s. 5s are treated like a hard 10, and 10s you would double down versus a dealer's 7. Okay, so you would never split 5s. What about a pair of 7s? 7s you should split 2 through 7. So because the dealer has a 7 as their up card, you would want to split those. Okay, and then the last one is if you have a pair of 9s. A pair of 9s versus a dealer's 7. Remember, 9s are split 2 through 9 except for 7. So this one you're just going to stand on because the dealer is likely to have a 7 or a 10 underneath, giving them a hard 17. And therefore, you would beat a hard 17 with that pair of 9s. Okay, so that's some pairs. Pairs you can just memorize on the basic strategy pairs charts. There's lots of basic strategy charts out there. Personally, I like Blackjack Apprenticeships charts. I have my own charts too that you can find in the description, but those are ones you just have to memorize. Okay, moving down the list again. So again, as we do this, I should mention, as I put out this these next few hands here, that when you get a hand, no matter what it is, like let's look at this one. This is a 9 versus a dealer's 9. First off, can I take insurance? No, dealer does not have an ace. Should I surrender this hand? Absolutely not. Okay, are we able to split this? No. Now you might want to ask yourself, should I double down? Okay, 9s, there are some situations where you do want to double down a 9, but is it against a dealer's 9? No, you do not want to double this one down. This is going to be a hit like normal. And now you have 19 and now you can stand. Okay, let's do the same thing with a 10 versus a 9. A 10 versus 9, again, no insurance available. Surrender when it makes sense. Can't split it. So then the next decision we have to make is, can you double down? And should you double down a 10 versus a 9? Absolutely. You should double this. And even if it's even if it doesn't go in your favor, like here you got a 12 versus a 9, that's how it goes sometimes, but that was the mathematical correct decision to make. All right. And then the last one here, same thing. Can't take insurance, can't surrender, or you could surrender, but it wouldn't make sense. Split, can't split those. And so should you double down on 11 versus 9? Again, absolutely you should. And that is why, because you can get twice the money out there and you're likely to get a hand that will beat the dealer. In this case, a 21 will beat a 19. All right. Okay, the last situation is going to be probably the most common. This is either to hit or to stand. And you'll notice that this is written on the same line. Just like back in grade school when you memorized the order of operations and adding and subtracting were on the same line, or multiplication and division were on the same line. If you remember your PEMDAS, Okay, that might give some of you nightmares, but anyway, hitting and standing is going to be on the same line. You just have to memorize basic strategy, and that will give you the correct decision that you should make. Okay, let's try a few hands and see if we can figure out what to do here. All right, in these ones, we have a 13 versus a dealer's 3. So if you have memorized the basic strategy chart, a 13 versus a 3 is going to be a stand. All right, you don't have to do anything with that hand. What about a 12 versus a 3? 12s, you should hit this versus a dealer's 2, 3, as well as a 7, 8, 9, 10, or ace. Okay, so because this is a 3, we're going to hit this. There you go, and now you have a 20, so we can stand on that. All right, what about a soft 15 versus a dealer's 3? Now again, you should be going through your entire checklist as you do this. Can I take insurance? No. Can I surrender? That wouldn't make sense. Can't split it. Double down. Should we double this one? Well, if you remember your basic strategy chart, you should not double a soft 15 versus a dealer's 3. You should only double a soft 15 versus a dealer's 4, 5, or 6. And so because of that, this is going to be a hit, the last line on our basic strategy, or on our order of operation chart for blackjack. And there you go, you would have a 21. Now you might be saying, well, if I hit that, or if I double down, I would get twice as much money. And in this situation, that is true. But over the long run, against a dealer's 3, the correct decision is actually just to hit. You have to play correctly, otherwise counting cards will not make sense for you. Okay, and then in this situation, dealer would have 7 and 17. So we got a winner, and unfortunately they lost, but all of those decisions were 100% mathematically correct. Okay, so a couple things to end this. If I were you, I would maybe copy this down and play your own hands and see if you can maybe go through your order of operation chart and get these correct. And if not, you can rewatch this video as many times as you need. Otherwise, you might find this video on the screen helpful. This is kind of, I call it counting for dummies. You're not dummies, but this is a very slow way to start counting cards. And until next time, guys, remember, this is A1 Blackjack.